Let us see. Hi, Molly. So whenever you, yep, there you go.
I did it.
Hello.
Hi.
Good
Hi.
morning or afternoon, I guess.
I know. Where did the time go?
We've just been having such a good time.
I mean, you two are just amazing at this. I am beyond impressed with not only your planning skills to get this set up when we had live events, but then the virtual events, and you're just, your energy is so great. I'm very impressed.
Thank you, Molly.
You're welcome.
Well, we are super glad to have you here. So we're going to disappear and let you talk about infant craniosacral therapy.
All right. Okay, there. Now I see how it looks. Hi, as I said, I'm Dr. Molly. My last name is Willette. It's a mouthful in French, so I go by Dr. Molly. My practice is Jade Chiropractic. I'm a chiropractor and I specialize in pediatrics, and with treating pediatrics, cranial sacral therapy is one of my main treatment methods. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what cranial sacral therapy is, and then why an infant might need cranial sacral therapy, and then what treatments look like, especially now with COVID-19. And sprinkled in there, I'll give a little bit about myself. As everyone's been saying, there are so many practitioners in Portland that specialize in many things around birth and pregnancy and postpartum. And so I'm going to give you a little taste of what cranial sacral is to see if it's something that maybe your child might need, and then a little bit about me if it's something you want to speak to me about. And there are other practitioners who are really excellent in the field in the area too. We're pretty lucky here in Portland. All right, cranial sacral therapy was developed by an osteopath. It is a specialized training that people can do who are chiropractors, massage therapists, physical therapists, lactation consultants, midwives. I originally studied with the Upledger Institute over 10 years ago when I was in chiropractic school. And then when I was about 2 years into practice, I started focusing on prenatal and postpartum care. And I was seeing a lot of babies coming in with their moms, and maybe they kind of were always to the side in their car seat, or I noticed they were always looking one way. Or I was hearing from parents, what their struggles were. And that really made me dive into caring for infants and what the best methods were, and to learn more about lactation and body work for babies and tummy time and all these different pieces. So what I did is I studied cranial sacral therapy for infants with Carol Gray. That was about 7 years ago. She presented yesterday. She is a phenomenal cranial sacral therapist and also a phenomenal teacher and yoga instructor. She's kind of a master of all. And so since then, for about 7 years, I've been treating babies. It's about a third of my practice is children under 1. So cranial sacral therapy is a light touch treatment to restore motion in areas of restriction in the body. So light touch is about the weight of a nickel. So if you were checking to see if a nectarine was ripe, it's about that much pressure. So you're not going to squeeze and squish the nectarine flesh. You're just going to kind of give it a little give to see how, if it's ready to eat and be nice and juicy. So the restrictions are areas where the tissue is not moving the way it should. We want even babies to be able to move their heads both ways as far as they can, for their shoulders to be able to go up and down, and their arms to be able to cross their body. And there are sometimes restrictions in those where the tissue isn't sliding and gliding the way we want it to. So cranial sacral. So the main treatment is focused on the head and the spine, but it really translates out to the rest of the body, to the jaw, the collarbones, the shoulders, the hips, the diaphragm. Babies, their skulls, their craniums are made, we have many different bones that make up the cranium. In adults, there is very subtle movement, and there's subtle movement in babies, but they have an overlap that happens through the birth process where they should come back and hopefully be nice and aligned, but maybe one's up a little bit more, or maybe one's shifted to the side a little bit and there's some torsion. So we're going to restore the motion, get the restrictions unwound and released to be able to give the baby the full range it needs. So why would a baby need treatment? As Sarah said, I see a lot of babies that have been referred to me from lactation consultants where they're having a difficult time with latch or feeding in some way. Ideally, babies in utero are, they're moving around a lot. They got like room to wiggle and stuff, but maybe they found a little like nook down there that was really comfy, and they spent a while, maybe at 30 weeks, they were head down and on the side, always getting kicks up in the ribs, and just, they were cozy, and they might have just gotten a little tight from being in that position. Sometimes it's from birth. Ideally, like the chin is tucked right in midline, but maybe their head was tipped a little or turned. And then all those contractions are pushing and causing some restraint. And they can have tightness in their top of their shoulder, bottom of their neck, or at the base of their skull. Sometimes when labors are really fast or really slow, or labor has gone into a C-section, baby spent a little time down low, maybe descent a little bit, and then they have to come back out. So what this can do is it can cause issues when baby's trying to feed. So one thing that's really important for nursing is to be able to extend the neck or the head on the neck. And if they've had all this pressure down, maybe they're kind of going to the side, or it's just restricted, so they have to make some compensations. The other thing is the jaw. So they need to be able to open wide to get a nice latch where they're getting enough breast tissue or bottle into their mouth to be able to have it back further. So the work we do, the cranial sacral on the head, also in the mouth with a glove on at the back of the jaw, under the tongue, and then through the shoulders and neck, can help release some of that tension, make their tongue move better, make their jaw open wider. Yeah. Oh, and then the other piece that Sarah mentioned when she was doing my introduction is that sometimes they have a head preference. So baby, oh, I have got a little baby here. So if baby likes to turn their head one way, then nursing on one side might be really great, and then the other side is not going to happen as easily. So we want to make sure they have that full range, and that they're not spending too much time looking one way and developing a flat spot, plagiocephaly, kind of a little divot in the back of their head. They need to be able to move their head to be able to like hang out and look around at different things. I also see babies for digestive issues, so spitting up, reflux. I think Jenna was talking earlier about the sphincter at the top of the stomach, that it's just not as strong at staying closed, and sometimes treatment for around the diaphragm, the belly, and the thoracic spine can help with some of those symptoms. And then once we get kind of beyond this like infant stage and they start moving a little bit more, if the baby has some tension in their shoulder, they might start, and they only will roll in one direction. They won't roll to the other side because it's harder to get over that shoulder. Cranial sacral can help loosen that up to create the range of motion to go both ways. I see babies that if they're crawling, one knee planted, one foot planted, and they're kind of doing a little bit of a shuffle instead of a crawl, or tiptoe walking. Okay, it looks like I have 1 minute left, so I'm going to quickly talk about what treatment looks like. I usually see babies in office anywhere from, the youngest baby I saw was 4 hours old, and then on up. That was at a birth center, not in my office. The baby wasn't born there. So first visit's about an hour. Follow-ups are about a half an hour. We talk about the pregnancy, the birth, and what's going on, and what your goals are, to see that we are addressing what you personally need, not what a cookie cutter image is of what treatment and goals should be. And right now I am seeing acute patients in office, and what that means depends on every situation. So I'm happy to do phone consults to decide if that is a situation that you are in. I'm doing intakes via telehealth, so it limits our time together in the office, just because it is a lengthier time to talk about what's going on and the history and everything. And I can do some assessment also on virtual visits, along with home care. We can talk about different techniques for massaging, relaxing the baby, positioning. There's a lot of things that we can go over that aren't just the hands-on care. And then last little thing, that other piece of hands-on care that I do as a chiropractor in office is I do very, very gentle baby adjustments. They are with the tips of my fingers usually, or the pads of my thumb. And it's more like a gentle pressure. It's not what you imagine when you go as an adult and things are a little more crack and fast things. They're just gentle little pressures. But what we want that motion. We want the babies to be able to move their shoulders and their neck and their legs as best they can. All right. 1 minute over, and I don't know if I have any questions.
You did great. That was awesome. I do see a comment here from Danielle. She says, Dr. Molly is amazing. Both my daughters have been treated by her with great results, one for an injury and another for latching issues.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for joining us. I texted Sarah during your talk and I said, I love the idea of Dr. Molly delivering a baby in your office. Just being like, oh, man, this has got to happen.
Oh, man.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. Have a great rest of your day.
Yes, thank you. Okay, there we go.
I just stopped my own screen. It tells you what time of day it is, I think, maybe.
All right. Do you want to share Dr. Molly's card or should I?
I got it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Man, I love listening to her talk about CST. Yeah, the first time I ever met with her, we were sitting in a coffee shop and I was like, okay, can you explain craniosacral therapy to me? And she basically gave the same talk that we just heard. And by the end of it, I left and I think I texted you, Sarah. I was like, so Dr. Molly's a magician. That's what I've learned.
I took my youngest to CST. Carol Gray, who we heard yesterday, does a free clinic as part of her teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took him to that at one point just because I wanted to like see it in action and see what it was all about. And man, he loved it. I mean, to talk about magic, like he was in heaven. And like he had always really enjoyed at that age being upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to tell them that. They just like, as they were working with it, they just like went with his flow. And all of a sudden he was like upside down. They're like, wow, he really likes this, huh? And I was like, yeah, it was like his favorite place to be upside down. I don't know what's up with this.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I definitely, one of the things that I think is the most, like the thing that makes the most sense to me when I think about CST and being effective is that most babies, after they've had a CST treatment, their most common reaction is either to take an extra long nap, points, right? There's a win for going to get CST, or to have a really large poop.
Yeah.
But like clearly their body's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Just great.
Yeah.